From the darkest corners of Tumblr comes a podcast where we take two of your favorite fictional characters, get them together, and ask, do we ship it? Hey everybody, welcome back to Ships in the Night. I hope you had a wonderful Labor Day. Hope you weren't laboring on Labor Day. Did you get a break, Greg?
I did not, because as a proud local member of the Fanfiction Writers 305, we were not able to successfully negotiate with our fanfiction overlords, and we had to work. It's a terrible union. It's really...
Well, I mean, that's what happens when your representatives spend more time thinking about their characters boning than they do actually doing the job of a union rep.
That is their job, though.
It's their problem. We need fictional union reps. Get Homer Simpson in here. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I want to welcome our guest, a writer, comedian, Ayla Glass.
Hi, I'm here.
Ayla, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, I got a little applause.
I hope
that's the most applause that this particular studio can muster.
It's because the audience is so far away from the microphones, they don't pick them up.
Exactly.
That's why. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with our first one. And this one was sent to us by a former guest of the show, actually. Joelle Monique wants us to investigate what would happen if we had April from Parks and Rec hook up with Pam from The Office. It's an NBC must-see TV love fest. What do you guys think?
It's gonna be tough for me right off the bat because April is just so dark and brooding, and Pam is this wholesome, just little beam of light in a crazy, crazy office. It's... we'll get there, but right off the bat for me, I'm not seeing it.
Really? I actually think that I could see it going down.
Oh, yeah?
Well, yeah, because, April puts that, facade on that, she's, dark, brooding, I hate everything. But, once you get to the later parts of the seasons of Park and Rec, she starts to, break down barriers and, she's married to Chris Pratt's character. He's the most lovable doofus. So I think that she needs someone who's going to bring out her softer side.
Andy is a doofy guy, and that's what makes him great. April wants somebody who balances her, but does Pam want somebody who goes against the grain as much as April? I don't know, but they do have a basis to connect on. They're both essentially the assistant or secretary to their respective offices. So that makes it super clean. Do they meet at a convention for secretaries?
Yeah. SecCon 2019.
I like that SecCon
we've used the convention device a few times, but it's but these two have the same job. It stands to reason.
I think that's definitely a possibility. It would be hard getting April to go to any sort of event.
That's true.
I have a theory that ties into the nice local government part of all this.
Okay.
If you'll allow me to walk this out just
Please.
a little bit. I think that Leslie Knope has been on a real big small business campaign, but she just stuck her foot in her mouth because it turns out the only small business paper supply company is hundreds of miles away. And Michael Scott, of course, is Jazz. He's going to get the entire office out on a field trip out to Pawnee to hand deliver all of this paper to them.
Yeah, look, Leslie needs tons of paper. She has so many binders to fill.
A lot of binders.
Leslie probably has her own contract for paper delivery by herself, and Dunder Mifflin is the perfect place to fill that.
That's
yeah. And, Pam is trying to move up in the company, so she's trying to be useful.
Oh yeah, Michael. So Michael and Pam have to go on a road trip to Pawnee, Indiana, to land this Big Bird's government client.
That's exactly how Michael Scott would pitch it. Is that he'd be like, "Oh, this giant government contract." And then they pull into Pawnee, Indiana.
Yes. Yeah, he doesn't tell her that it's a small town. He's just really excited. We're going to get in with the government. It's going to be huge. Every government contractor does well. We know this.
Yeah.
So Michael and Pam arrive, and it's Leslie. Is it just straight Leslie and April go out to meet them?
Yeah, I think that April is going to be giving Pam so much shit about the check-in process. Like, they are going to be they have so much fanfare. Michael Scott has all these banners and promotional mugs and everything. And April is just not going to give them the time of day at all. She's going to make them wait in the office for like an hour and a half before they can do anything.
But honestly, I feel like that's like how the sparks are going to start, is that like April is going to be being April to Michael Scott, and Pam is going to be like, this chick knows what's up. Because Pam also like is over Michael Scott's, shenanigans many times.
Pam would definitely be laughing if April's giving crap to Michael Scott in this scenario. She'd be enjoying somebody taking the piss out of him.
This woman harbors the darkness that I've had in my heart for so long.
Yeah, maybe she needs, April to unleash her dark side. I feel like April would probably... I feel like she did some prank stuff around the office.
Yeah, April's into the pranks. So I
feel like maybe Pam like sees April like pull off a good prank, and she's like, cool.
So April, we've established that Pam would definitely be into April, but I'm worried about April falling for Pam because Pam feels very, very similar to Ann Perkins.
Yes, Ann.
Pam feels very similar to Ann Perkins. It's even right in there. Ann Perkins, Pam.
But she comes around to Ann like later in the season.
And maybe April wouldn't have hated it. It was more that she was Andy's ex that was like why she felt such a strong hatred. So maybe this is one of those cases of you fall for the person you hate the most because it just happens to be a different person, even if you would like that type of person.
No, I think that April needs somebody who is gonna like lighten her up. I think, like I said, I think that she has a light, fun side, and that's why she fell for Andy Dwyer. And like I think that Pam could be the sunshine that she needs in her life.
I dig that there are just like some very sweet moments where Pam shuffles over to April's table, is like, hey, I always keep some jelly beans in my pocket just in case, a little something to snack on. Do you want some? It seems like you might want some. I kind of want some. She's just like begrudgingly taking one at a time.
She'd be like, are you offering me your pocket jelly beans?
Well, when you phrase it like that, I mean, it doesn't sound... Of course I want some.
Exactly.
Yum, yum, yum,
of
yum,
course.
yum.
That is exactly how it would go down. She'd be like, thank you so much.
I dig this. So while... Jesus Christ. While Michael Scott and
Leslie
Knope are just having the grandest like photo shoot opportunity of all time. That's the loud relationship. But these two just managed to sort of sneak off to the sides like, do you want to grab a hamburger somewhere? I would very much like that.
Yes, I totally think that's exactly how I feel like it would happen. That they'd be like, you know what? You're kind of cool. And then they'd be like, you're kind of cool too.
The two of them 100% end up at the snake pit, which is also 100% where I feel like they hook up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
This starts out as a drunken hookup in my mind, for sure.
Wait, okay, so they go to dinner at Tom's Bistro.
Right.
And then
they have some scintillating conversation about how much they hate their bosses.
Yes, but also love their jobs like secretly at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They secretly enjoy what they do, even though they have to like help they're like the helper people of their respective places.
And they're both super frustrated by their man-child boyfriends. Like, they are so aggressive that there's like, oh gosh, like sometimes I just wish there was something more, someone who truly gets me. Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, like, Pam is just drinking, I guess it would be like half of a Tom Collins, and she's totally wasted.
Yes, April's had like, I don't know what April drinks. I would say 2 bottles of wine at this point.
Yeah, she requires significantly more liquor than Pam to get things going.
Yeah, Pam has 1 cocktail April's had a whole bottle of wine.
Pray that snake juice doesn't make it into the equation. But if it does, it leads to these two going back
Whoa.
to...
Oh, okay. Are we skipping over the snake pit? Like, what happens there?
Please, tell this.
There is
tell
so
your...
much more to the story. Okay, so yeah, like we said, they're at dinner, and they have one of those moments where they, like, look across the table, and they're, like, kind of do that, like, kind of head cock, like, silently, like, you get me, like, look. And then Tom comes over and he's like, hey guys, what's up? He's like, John Raffio's having a big party at the snake pit tonight. You gotta come. And, like, they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna go to this thing.
They both simultaneously do a look to camera, like, oh no.
Tom is totally hitting on Pam.
Yes. Yeah, Tom is trying to get Pam to come so that he can try to hook up with her. But it's not going to be his night as usual.
But all Pam can focus her attention on is April.
Yeah, and
She's
then
enraptured by her.
they're like dancing, they're having a good time, probably making fun of Tom, probably making fun of Sean Raffio, and then then they start making out on the dance floor, and then like Pam's like, "Do you want to get out of here?" I think Pam would be the one, honestly.
And you could picture exactly the face that like Tom is shooting towards camera as he sees the two of them making out.
My favorite face, I think, of any character in any show.
That surprised smile look that Aziz Ansari has.
The open mouth,
Yep.
like excited smile. I love that.
Exactly. Everyone can picture the exact face.
Yeah, his brain just melts instantly once he sees this.
Yes, he definitely tries to invite himself over.
Yeah.
They narrowly escape.
They narrowly get away from him. And then the rest of the night is maybe a little fuzzy.
They're both pretty PG show. PG-13, I maybe even. But I don't even know what any of those people do behind closed doors.
But this isn't a PG podcast.
Well, here's what it is they wind up at like Pawnee's only bed and breakfast, something that's like charmingly old-fashioned.
Is where Michael and Pam are staying.
Oh God, yeah. And so they just go back to their room and start tearing shit up. They are going reckless and wild. And you're right, because it's NBC, we don't get to see the actual action go down.
You hear a lot of banging and maybe some porcelain dolls shattering.
But when they wake up the next morning, it is all waffles strewn across the room. There's a miniature horse in the room with them.
Sebastian!
Somehow Lil Sebastian got in the room.
Was somehow involved.
Well,
oh, man.
April is like, I have to show you Pawnee's biggest attraction. We're going to go hijack.
So they went,
Sebastian.
they stole Little Sebastian. That actually sounds like they probably do that on the way back to the bed and breakfast. They like go steal Little Sebastian, bring him back. They're so elated.
I just like the idea that they wake up in Lil Sebastian's room, but it cuts to like one of the talking head moments with the two of them. They're like, I'm not going to tell you how he got in the room.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them either. And then it just freezes and holds on them sitting there smiling at each other and cuts away. Like,
so cute.
Who knows what they did with that little horse? We'll never know the truth.
They fed him carrots and sugar cubes.
And waffles.
Freak.
Maybe they did. I didn't say. Well, I just said we'll never know. You implied more, ma'am.
They wake up covered in maple syrup, sticky with love and
waffles are a Leslie Knope's thing. I don't know how all the maple syrup got into this equation. And
it's a bed and breakfast.
That's fair. That's fair. But either way, but all of that aside, like this is clearly how they got together.
Mm-hmm.
But how does the relationship go with these two? Because this is on sort of a trip for Pam. Is this going to become something where they're long distance? Does one of them move? How do you guys think this relationship, can it last?
I feel like it's like a one-night stand.
It's tough. It's the kind of thing where I think if they lived in the same town, they could definitely spend like a season arc together. Yeah, I think in these circumstances where they both have to go back to their respective homes, like Pam has to go back from this trip, and that I think you're right, Ayla. I think this is this is a one-night stand, but an amazing one that they will remember forever.
But and not in like a negative way, in a like very positive, like they're like each other and they're like, this was great. Like,
Yeah, it turns out we had the loudest A story of this episode. Michael Scott and Leslie Knope are off doing their thing, but little do they know what really went down.
So, side equation that we have to know the answer to: did Michael Scott land the deal?
I think that, but they managed to do it in that they realized UPS is a thing, and they don't have to visit every single time. They're just it's much more cost effective to ship paper.
But
as
from
God
here on
intended.
out, all of the paper for the Pawnee Parks Department will be supplied by Dunder Mifflin, the way that every NBC fan wanted for years.
yes. And I feel like in like the first paper delivery, there's a little note from Pam for April.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right?
I love it.
Right? I feel like that
That's
would be
the-
the perfect button on the episode.
That is the perfect the perfect tag and the perfect end to this story. That was wonderful. My heart is so full, I think we just need to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with our second ship of the episode. And we're back, and we have another wonderful ship. This one wonderfully bizarre from our file of why did somebody send this to us? Oh well, time to investigate. This one is from a friend of the podcast, Ethan Stanislawski, who sent us the peanut M&M from the M&M commercials.
Right. Tracks.
And the Zoloft Circle, the little blobby, like, jumping bean of a character from the Zoloft commercials.
Yes, from the early 2000s.
That very, very sad circle. You know, the sad circle.
The circle that has depression and social anxiety, but when he takes Zoloft, he's the hit of the party.
Then he likes butterflies again.
Yes. He doesn't like ladybugs when he's feeling depressed.
No, he's like, fuck that ladybug. Why it gotta be like red and living your life, ladybug? I'm sad.
But then he takes Zoloft, and so there's butterflies everywhere.
And he's like, oh my gosh, life is magic.
So I somehow can see where the idea of this one came from, because I feel like after years of playing the dumb guy on all these M&M's commercials, Yellow M&M has got to be a little bit depressed, right?
Yeah, the yellow M&M is like the actor who played Urkel. Like, he's classically trained and brilliant, and then he just auditioned for this one role as the peanut M&M, and they were like, no, you're a dumb guy. Forever now, people associate that with him. And they say, dumb M&M, you're not like the other cool M&Ms.
It's Bob Saget, the like adult offensive comedian who wound up on a children's program by accident.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Peanut M&M just has a single glob of sugar rolling down his chin. Like, no one understands me.
His M just gets a little bit smudged on after everyone because of the melted sugar tears.
These M's are really just two frowns glued together. Oh, woe is me, the Peanut M&M.
They say I don't melt in your hand, but what about in your tear duct?
So sad.
So let's just jump into it. Like, what is the meet cute? How does the peanut M&M meet the Zoloft Circle? Are they in line at the drugstore picking up their meds, and then they accidentally get their Zoloft prescriptions swapped? So stupid.
Sure. Or maybe, Peanut M&M is at that party that the Zoloft blob is not so sad to go to anymore.
That's right.
Because he has Zoloft.
I saw you over there and you looked super depressed. What happened? Why are you suddenly so friendly? Well, I took my old friend Zoloft.
Yeah. Zoloft guy sounds like this, by the way. They
Oh.
never say it in the commercial.
He's Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's once you become super happy, you instantly turn into Mickey Mouse.
That's
Yeah.
part of why he was depressed. He sounds like Mickey Mouse.
I feel like they're at the same party for circular commercial mascots.
Right. The 7-Up dot is there. That's the only one that matters. It's just the three of them.
I mean,
Very
the other
intimidating.
M&Ms are there. Maybe the red M&Ms are on a party.
Were the sun-kissed raisins allowed in?
Yeah, they're close
the
enough.
California raisins. Yeah, they can come.
Oh, the Raisin Brand Sun. There's another
Yep.
round-ish character for
Yeah.
you.
They're all hanging out. Red M&Ms having a party.
Side ship that we may have to investigate later. The Raisin Brand son and the baby from Teletubbies.
Oh,
Oh
God.
God.
Anyway,
Oh, no.
so Zoloft Circle and the Peanut M&M just start chatting, and what
And they're both like, "Oh my God, we're both taking Zoloft."
do they just connect over the fact that they're both depressed?
Yes.
Oh, God. This
What
is...
are this? A couple of LA comedians?
Yeah, this is like the standard introduction at a party out here. Is like, so what medications are you on? How are you trying to self-better? Yeah, they start swapping information and keep comparing prescription notes, maybe swapping some meditation techniques. They're like, listen, the outside world doesn't realize that there's more to us. The Zoloft Circle, have a beautiful butterfly, ladybug loving creature inside me. And me, the peanut M&M, has a peanut inside me. And people don't realize that. There's more to us.
He's like, "I'm not just this dumb peanut M&M. Like you said, he's like a classically trained, and that's so impressive to Zoloft Blob." He's like, "Wow, there's so much more under that yellow candy coated shell,
So these two,
and it's not just a peanut."
yeah, there's milk chocolate in there. So these two, they hit it off, and they start dating. I think this probably is like a classic dating situation, like it's someone you meet at a party. Peanut M&M is like really nervous to text him on Monday. It's like, dude, should I text him? Like, you gotta wait 3 days. I don't want to wait 3 days. I'm gonna text him. Hey, it was really nice to meet you. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Peanut M&M starts panicking
Zoloft
over not.
immediately texts back,
Oh.
"Thank you too."
That's adorable.
Smiley face.
The immediate text that next weekend they're already on a date. So
And it's like total Lady and the Tramp, like spaghetti kiss. I don't know.
but
why.
a Zoloft pill in the middle.
No, the Zoloft pills are like in like the meatballs.
Yeah, they sprinkle on
Yeah.
like Parmesan cheese, wrap it up
Oh
together.
my God, it's a
Yeah.
montage of them taking Zoloft pills in different dating
Just
situations.
Cheersing with their Zoloft prescription bottles.
They drop a Zoloft pill into champagne and then ching.
Yeah.
Yes, and then guess what? The peanut M&M proposes.
Twist.
And instead of a diamond, it's a Zoloft pill.
So,
And a gold band.
I love this because listen, they have mental issues. Like the green peanut or the yellow peanut M&M would move way too fast in this relationship.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't be able to stop themselves.
Well, this is the first time anyone's ever gotten, no one's gotten them like this other person,
Yeah, and there's only one
first
female
time.
M&M as far as we've ever seen.
Yeah,
so.
green M&M, and she's a bitch.
Oh no, there's also brown M&M. They introduced brown M&M recently. Either way, peanut M&M has to look outside his circle,
Yes.
His literal circle, yeah.
It's literal circle.
outside the bag, if you will. So these two get married. Is this just a happy relationship? These two who are very like, because the Zoloft Circle is very
Well-
self-aware about like their mental illness, and that's always a good start. Somebody who understands the issues that they have and is working to better themselves. So that the Zoloft Circle is a happier person. I feel like
I
you
do
have some
think that they
trepidation.
have one issue though, because I mean, they're on a lot of antidepressants, so the bedroom situation is maybe not as poppin' as it could be.
Literally not as poppin'.
Not as
Yeah.
But in
happen.
theory, they're both at the same levels, right? If
Yeah.
they're both suppressed. If both of them are suppressing their,
They both
their
have-
sexual desires, then it's an even hat.
Yeah, well, maybe.
We've seen them both fully naked, and they don't appear to have genitalia.
It's just
as
in the
far as-
inside.
so it comes out of them.
It's a retractable chocolate dick, Greg.
Oh god, that's so disturbing. I mean, that would be a pretty good reason to be depressed if you have no genitalia. But I mean, I would say on the flip side of that, they are so symmetrically perfect for each other that it's like you are a near perfect circle, you're just a little bit off, which I like about you. Like in the world of circular characters, I think from a purely design point, Yellow M&M can get it. So can Zoloft Circle. So like maybe their raw sexual power is strong enough that they can overcome these horrible side effects.
Okay.
But either way, I think the fact that they met while dealing with these issues, like they accepted that they needed to work on themselves, that they were seeking medical help for each of their depression separately. I think that they'll be able to, they might have some rough patches over the years.
Well, I think Yellow M&M, because of his, dissatisfaction with his portrayal, in the commercials, I feel like he has some kind of anxiety or anger. In Zoloft she's already come to terms with the fact that he's a has-been, But Peanut M&M is like, he's still like holding out that like maybe
still
he can get
pushing.
something else.
But maybe he starts doing like Shakespeare in the Park, like, like free stuff on like
But
during
nobody
summers.
takes him seriously. He wants to be Macbeth, and they always want him to be whatever is like a person who's funny in Shakespeare. He's like, I want to be doing Macbeth, and they're like, no, you're doing Love's Labor's Lost for the 50th time. Merchants of Venice only.
Not Merchants of Venice, no!
But
He's like, I want to be Hamlet. Please.
If you bite me, do I not melt? But here's I get why Peanut M&M might be a little frustrated, but does it do anything? How does their relationship go? Like, I feel like these two make it. What do you think, guys? Do Peanut M&M and the Zoloft Circle make it?
You know what? I'll say it. They rushed into this thing. They weren't really thinking. Peanut M&M tried to bring in the Viagra pill as a third to spice things up in the bedroom. And then after that, just everything fell apart.
Oh, no.
So
Yeah.
I think that they have more reason to be on Zoloft in the future after their relationship falls apart.
Well, they found out, it's like you can't just base an entire relationship on taking the same prescription.
Oh, a lesson I've learned so many times.
You have to have more things in common than your mental illness and your shape.
Oh, boy.
I never thought I would personally learn something from this show, but I just had a moment of deep reflection.
Well, while Greg reflects on a lifetime of choices, we're going to take another quick break and then come back with our Matchmaker segment. Stick around. And we're back. And real quick, before we dive into the segment, I want to take a moment to remind you guys that if you can take a moment of your time, just like literally 30 seconds, wherever you happen to be listening to this podcast, leave us a comment, a rating, a review. It helps other people find the show, and we need to get these weird chips into other people's ears. Spread the love.
Yeah, logging into your Apple account to leave that content is excruciating, but we really do appreciate it. It means so much to us, so please do it. Thank you.
And now we're opening the doors on our dating service here at Chips in the Night. We're open for business. Ayla, you seem to have brought a single from fiction for us to find love for. Who have you brought us?
I have brought Mark from Rent, the musical.
Okay.
Solid.
Yes. Poor Mark is the only character in the musical of Rent who never has a romantic relationship in the entirety of the story for some reason. And no one even seems to be remotely interested in him. And, you know, he's got nothing going on for him except for his camera. So, I you know, and he means well, and he's like a sweet guy, and he's like who I would want to date if I was there. But that doesn't mean he says too much about my own problems. But but no, let's see. He's a filmmaker. Oh, he wants to be a filmmaker, but like kind of like a documentarian. He's like always wanting to document real life and like the truth through the lens.
I think we could find somebody for him.
Nice Jewish boy.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That adds a layer of complexity to it.
Yeah.
So, Greg, I know I've got somebody that we can try to set up Mark with. Are you good to go?
Yeah, cue me up, my good man.
Go for it.
So Mark, videographer, director, cameraman, capturer of life on film, if you will. I think that there's someone else within the pop culture realm who very much encapsulates all of that. And that is Dead Bird Guy from American Beauty. The guy who goes around filming dead birds and plastic bags and other little bits of slices of life. Look, it doesn't get any realer than that. Like, Mark is going to see this guy and say, aha, someone who understands my artistic vision, who understands why I'm doing this. And yeah, you could argue Dead Bird Guy is a little immature and perhaps a little bit of a relic of the cultural past. But Rent, I think you could also make, is a pretty strong relic of a culture past. But people still really like it. And that's all that matters.
Oh boy, yep.
Zach.
Wow, that was so perfectly timed with the music. That was impressive.
We've been doing it a while. We've learned to time our arguments succinctly.
I think that what Mark needs is somebody who not just understands his filmmaking, but understands his passions for like important things. Like he deals with this whole thing with HIV and AIDS, and I want to set him up with Diane Nguyen from BoJack Horseman. Because Diane is somebody who's passionate about the world and making the world a better place. And Mark understands that. And what Diane lacks is really a direction, a path. And I think that these two working together in Hollywood can really find a way to drive their careers together and work in a harmonious relationship, not just at work, but also at home, building a life together where they believe in each other. They have passionate faith that the world can be a better place if they just get the world seeing things through Mark's camera.
Oh, that's gonna be tough to beat. Shit.
Yeah, that was really good. Oh, man.
Well, do you have any questions for us? I mean, this is always a difficult choice. Romance is never simple.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have any questions before you make a decision on who you should set Mark up with?
What do you think, you know, your prospective people would do, like with Mark on a first date?
Dead birds. All dead birds all the time. Dead birds that died from bird AIDS. That would be their first date. Is they're just filming them and then putting it up on the internet, probably on a Vimeo account that has like a lot of production design behind it, but very few followers. These two, look, that's what they're all about. They're all about like insider art. And that's why yours doesn't work, because Diane is too Hollywood. Mark is gonna look at her and be like, she's a phony. And I don't want to get with no phonies. Ooh. I may be confusing this with JD Salinger a little bit.
Who is not dead.
See, I think that Diane and Mark, their first date, they're gonna go to a rally. They're gonna go to a rally in downtown LA. They're gonna march for women's rights. They're gonna be filming the whole thing, and then they're gonna go have a lovely dinner at a taco truck while they're down there just feeding off the people of this city, getting a small business going. Because these two, they're not as stuck up. That's the thing. Mark doesn't want to film plastic bags and dead birds. Those are not important. Your guy is just so full of himself. Mark has important things to tell the world. Ayla, we've given you two options. We can set up a date because we have that ability with this dating service for Mark. Who would you like to put your friend in touch with?
This is a really tough one because Dead Bird Guy and Mark definitely have the same artistic sensibility, but I'm a little worried Mark is a little too sad for Diane. They're both so sad.
No way he's getting Dead Bird Guy any sadder. Let me tell you that.
It's really so sad. I think I would go with Diane. Just because I do think that Diane has this undercurrent of like wanting to make a difference and to make things that mean something. And I think that they would be good partners and collaborators, even if they are just sad all the time.
There's so much sadness in today's episode. What did we do? But you know what? I don't feel sad because this was a blast. Ayla, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, more applause.
This was joy. If people want to keep up with you online or anything you want to plug, please let them know.
Sure. I am Ayla Glass on all social media because I'm the only one. I killed all the other ones. You can also follow my live comedy show, The Bagency, on Instagram and Facebook at Bagency Comedy. So that's BAEGENCY Comedy. And we have a show coming up on September 6th at 8 p.m. at the Pack Theater. And we have an amazing lineup. So definitely check out our Instagram and Facebook for more details because it's going to be a sick show.
If you're looking for me, you can find me on the tweets at Greg Goodness. You can also find me performing occasionally at the Pack Theater in beautiful, sunny Hollywood, California.
And I'm Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at that Zach Wilson. That's ThatZachWilson. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Be sure to follow the podcast itself on Twitter and Instagram at ShippingPod and send us all of the ships that you want to see on future episodes. We love hearing the ideas that you guys had because otherwise, who would have thought of Zoloft Circle and Peanut M&M? Your ideas are crazier than ours could ever be. Send it to at ShippingPod. Until next time, this has been Ships in the Night, casting off.